The officer walks up to your window, but before he says a single word, he taps your taillight. Not hard, just enough to leave a fingerprint. Most drivers never notice it. Then comes the flashlight through the back seat, the quick glance at your hands, the pause before the first question. Do you know why I stopped you today? And in the next 5 seconds, most people accidentally help build the entire case against themselves. They start digging through the glove box too fast. They apologize. They explain. They volunteer information nobody asked for. One piece of knowledge can change how a situation ends for you. Subscribe now so you're prepared. Then share this video and tell me what you think about it in the comments. Or worse, they consent to things they didn't even realize they had the right to refuse. So what are you actually supposed to do the moment that stop begins? What can police legally ask? What are you legally required to do? And what words protect you without making the situation worse? Attorney Theodore Walton says the first moments of a traffic stop are where most drivers lose control of the encounter before they even understand what's happening. And today, we're breaking down the 5 biggest mistakes drivers make after that taillight tap and the exact words that can protect your rights at every stage of the stop. Because one bad decision on the roadside can turn a warning into a search or a conversation into an arrest. Here's the first mistake: talking before you understand the situation. The officer walks up and says, "Do you know why I stopped you today?" Most people think this is casual conversation. It's not. It can be an evidence-gathering question, because if you answer, "Yeah, I was probably speeding," or "I only had 2 beers," you may have just admitted to the exact violation the officer is investigating. A lot of drivers talk because silence feels uncomfortable, but silence is not guilt, and nervous talking creates problems fast. Instead, keep your hands visible, stay calm, and respond professionally. A safer response sounds like this: "Good evening, officer. May I ask why I was stopped?" That answer matters because it avoids volunteering information while keeping the interaction calm and cooperative. Notice what you're not doing. You're not arguing, you're not refusing to communicate, you're simply not helping build the case against yourself. And that distinction matters. Now here's the second mistake: moving too fast. This is where officers become extremely alert. Think about what the officer sees from outside the car. Dark interior, unknown person, unknown intentions, unknown objects inside the vehicle. Then suddenly the driver starts reaching under seats, into pockets, toward the center console, or digging aggressively through bags. Even innocent movement can escalate tension instantly. That's why Theodore Walton says one of the smartest things you can do is narrate your movements before making them. If the officer asks for license and registration, don't start grabbing immediately. Say this first: "My registration is in the glove compartment. I'm going to reach for it now." Simple, calm, predictable. That sentence lowers tension because it tells the officer exactly what you're doing before you do it. And if you have a legal firearm in the vehicle, laws vary heavily by state. Some states require disclosure, others do not. So know your local laws ahead of time. But regardless of location, sudden movement toward an undisclosed weapon is one of the fastest ways to make a routine stop dangerous. The next mistake is the one that traps people constantly: consenting to searches without realizing it. The officer says, "You don't mind if I take a quick look inside the vehicle, right?" Listen carefully to the wording. It sounds casual, friendly, optional. But if you say yes, you may have just waived one of the strongest constitutional protections you have. And many drivers consent because they feel refusing makes them look guilty. Legally, refusing consent is not automatically evidence of a crime. Now, officers may still search under certain circumstances depending on probable cause, plain view observations, safety concerns, or other legal exceptions. But you should never accidentally give away your rights because you felt pressured in the moment. So what should you say? Use clear, calm language. "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." That phrase works because it's respectful and unambiguous. You're not physically resisting, you're not arguing, you're simply making your legal position clear. And if the officer searches anyway, your verbal refusal may still matter later in court because it shows the search happened without your permission. But here's the important part: do not physically interfere with the search. Don't grab, don't block, don't escalate. The roadside is not the courtroom. which leads directly into the fourth mistake, trying to win the argument during the stop. This destroys people. The officer says, "Step out of the vehicle," and the driver responds, "You can't tell me what to do." Now suddenly the entire encounter changes tone. Here's the reality many people misunderstand. In many situations, courts have allowed officers conducting lawful traffic stops to order drivers and passengers out of vehicles for safety reasons. That does not mean you lose all your rights, but refusing lawful commands on the roadside can escalate the situation very quickly. So comply physically while protecting yourself verbally. That's the balance. If you disagree with what's happening, use this phrase: "I am not resisting, but I do not consent." That sentence is powerful because it separates compliance from permission. You're avoiding escalation while still preserving your objection. Again, roadside arguments rarely help you. Dashcam footage helps. Body cam footage helps. Courtroom challenges help. Screaming beside the highway usually does not. Now, let's talk about the fifth mistake: talking too much after the stop becomes investigative. This is where many people panic. The officer starts asking unrelated questions. Where are you coming from? Who were you with tonight? Have you had anything to drink? Why are you nervous? People think they can talk their way out of suspicion, but nervous explanations often create inconsistencies officers can use later. And once the stop shifts towards possible criminal investigation, your words matter enormously. That's when Theodore Walton recommends drivers remember two key phrases. First, "I choose to remain silent." Second, "I want to speak to a lawyer." Short, calm, direct, not aggressive, not emotional. And here's why the wording matters. "I choose to remain silent" clearly invokes your rights without sounding combative. And "I want to speak to a lawyer" signals that questioning should stop in many legal contexts. But understand something critical. Invoking your rights does not always mean the stop ends immediately. The officer may still complete the traffic investigation. They may still issue citations, and depending on circumstances, they may continue certain procedures allowed by law. This is why staying calm matters so much, because many drivers make the mistake of thinking rights only count if the officer instantly agrees with them. That's not how this works. Rights are often protected later through evidence review, legal motions, recordings, and court procedures, not roadside debates. And there's another trap people fall into constantly: trying to sound clever, quoting random internet advice, threatening lawsuits, reciting half-understood constitutional arguments. That usually makes things worse. Keep your language boring, professional, controlled. The safest drivers during police encounters are usually the calmest ones, not the loudest ones. Now, a very important legal clarification: traffic stop laws vary by state, and the legality of searches, questioning, identification requirements, recordings, firearm disclosures, and detentions can depend heavily on the specific facts of the encounter. This video is educational information, not personal legal advice. If you're dealing with an actual criminal investigation or arrest, speak with a licensed attorney in your jurisdiction. But as a general framework, Theodore Walton says the safest approach during a traffic stop is surprisingly simple. Keep your hands visible, move slowly, provide required documents when legally required, do not volunteer unnecessary information, do not consent to searches, do not physically resist, ask calmly, "Am I free to go or am I being detained?" And if questioning becomes investigative, "I choose to remain silent. I want a lawyer." That combination protects more people than roadside speeches ever will, because that taillight tap, it's not the moment most drivers lose control, it's the next 5 seconds after it. And in the next video, we're breaking down another major traffic stop trap, the innocent question officers ask that gets drivers to accidentally admit impairment without realizing it.